feel so old.
Lately, it's like I turn on the TV and all the athletes and pop stars are younger than me.
We're so old.
Why are you talking like that?
It's a bat voice. It's a bat.
Really kind of goes against the whole dark Batman thing.
Are you kidding me? I worked on that like all day. It was like bat, sonar, high, squeaky.
It's not scary, it's silly.
I'm Romero.
And I'm Chris.
And we're the non-experts.
We're not therapists.
Or lawyers.
Or firefighters.
We don't have any licenses or degrees.
So join us as we talk about news and pop culture and say whatever we want.
Because we're the non-experts.
Hello.
Hey, Chris. How you doing?
Oh, fine. It's been a very long time.
Too long.
Very overdue, but, you know.
It's good to be back. That's all that matters, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So I guess we could start off just by kind of talking about what we've been doing. So I looked up how long it's been, and the last episode we released was a little over a year ago in September, like September 27th, which, believe it or not, a year ago.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That actually, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but, like, it doesn't ever feel like it's been that long.
Right. It's crazy.
That's honestly probably about the last time we've seen each other, really. Like, maybe once past that, but...
I think you're right.
My heart. My heart.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, not very much has been happening over here.
Yeah.
Still working on a master's degree. Almost done. Should be done next semester.
Yeah.
I got a full-time job. I don't know if I told you that or not.
No. Last I heard, you were working at Apple.
Yep. So I quit that because I was offered a full-time job as a video editor for a marketing company. So that's been, thank you. That's been since July.
Okay. Congratulations. Yeah. Nice to know that one of us is putting that piece of paper to use. I'm working on it. Yeah. That's good, though. That's good, man. Good for you.
Thank you.
I've been at a bank.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I mean, other than that, though, not much. Yeah. Not much has been happening over here, so.
Yeah. Pretty much same. No grad school for me, but just working. Mm-hmm. It was funny. I talked to my boss earlier this week. He was asking me some stuff, and he was like, I know that you're probably leaving soon. I was like, yes, very much so. I'm glad that you understand that. So I've just been looking at jobs. I kind of want to get into social media a little bit. I have InShot on my phone. If you're not familiar with InShot, it's a little video editor that has pretty solid effects for being what it is. So I edit little stupid videos together all the time, or like just, you know me, I always have stupid pictures and videos everywhere. I'm pretty active with social media as far as like back and forths go. So I've been looking at some social media jobs because some of them do pay well, even the part-time ones, in addition to trying to find, hopefully, some radio work.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that...
Social media is really timely, especially right now, you know? Yeah. So I think that's a very, very good place to look for a job, especially right now. So
for sure. I was looking at a job in Dallas. It was for, I want to say like a furniture store or something. I forget who it was for. It was out of Dallas, but it was remote work, and it was part-time, paying like $25 an hour, doing TikToks. Like, are you kidding me? I will make a TikTok every waking minute of my life if you're going to pay me $25 an hour. Like, so yeah, I've been looking into that. It's a little more lucrative than I thought it would be, and it sounds fun. So, other than that, just working, being a bum.
No, I mean, at least you're still working. There's a lot of people right now that aren't able to do anything just because of everything being closed. But so that, I'm grateful that I was able to get a job. I mean, not that I was not going to be out of one, because I mean, Apple was just making me do stuff from here. But the fact that I was able to get hired on as a video editor when nobody's like shooting any video, so
right.
Really grateful for that. So
how's that been going so far?
Very good. Like I said, not very many people are shooting video, but I've been doing a lot of like motion graphic stuff and some small animation stuff. So It's keeping me
Good
busy.
deal.
Yeah.
Good deal. I look up to you. You're my hero.
Said no whenever. Yeah. So I thought it would be kind of fun if we talked about, just very briefly, some of the topics that we would have talked about if we had been doing the podcast this whole time. Just because there have definitely been some things that have been brought up that are worth talking about.
For sure.
And the first one that comes to mind, because I know that when this happened, I'm like, dang it, I wish we were still doing the podcast so we could talk about it. But that Nightmare Cats movie.
I like to just not adjust that movie. Every time I saw something about it, I was just like, ugh. It just gave me the... Not a fan. Not a fan.
Yeah, me neither. Like, it's not a musical that deserves a movie because it's about nothing.
Yeah.
And the way that they chose to go about it was just the most bizarre, uncanny valley. Like,
could we not have just done like updated animation?
That's what I'm saying. Or put people in makeup like they do on stage. It's not like we have to actually believe that they're cats. You know what I mean? Like, the suspension of disbelief is not that hard. You know, you put somebody in a cat costume and, you know, whatever. Like, we understand they're cats. There's no reason to animate like a whole cat body on them and you know, change their face.
Disgusting. It was disgusting.
And it
I would have actually really loved for us to be doing the podcast when that came out.
Exactly. So that was that. The other thing that we kind of talked about a little bit was the Kim Jong-un death rumors.
That was such a great time in news, right? Like, you think back to the start of this year, like January, and we're thinking, are we going to go to war with them? Like, is everything okay? And then out of nowhere, we get, what was it? It wasn't a seizure. What did he allegedly have?
I forget what it was.
Whatever it is, you're like, oh, he's sick. And then people are like, oh, no, he's unresponsive and in a coma. Right. Oh, no, he's dead. Oh, my God, this is rapidly escalating. And then plot twist, he's perfectly fine.
Right.
Like, what is going on here? This year has been one really long, strange movie that just...
Yes.
There's a lot of plot points just thrown at the wall. And I think M. Night Shyamalan and Michael Bay are just taking the helm on this. There's a lot going on.
It is a lot. The one other thing, I mean, there's a whole list here, but one more that I think we definitely would have talked about is the media phenomenon that is Tiger King.
We would have.
I have not watched it. I don't care to watch it. And just, I think because it was so, like, hyped up and everyone was watching, I'm like, I don't care, you know, like.
You want to just remind the people where that's spaced out of?
What, Tiger King?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Where did it space out from?
I'm pretty sure it's a Florida-oriented thing.
Is it really?
Pretty sure.
Huh.
I might need to do some fact checking. Don't hold us to that. Again, non-expert. Hello. But I'm pretty sure that's a Florida thing.
Let me see here.
Which makes it all the more relevant to us.
Right.
We're all about the Florida man.
It is.
Yeah. I was pretty sure.
Well, that's where okay, so that's where Carol Baskin is from.
Oh,
I think the Joe Exotic it says it's Oklahoma. So, I mean, it's part Florida, part Oklahoma, but like those are the two like butt jokes of the United States. So,
hey, listen, I love Oklahoma, okay? But Oklahoma is, I saw a meme a couple weeks ago and it was like, if First 48 has taught me anything, it's stay away from Tulsa, Oklahoma. There's always something there. So yeah, that's where the two, the two meet real beautifully in the middle with Tiger King. And I don't know. It just, to me, it was weird. I just had no inclination to want to watch it.
Yeah,
the memes were good enough for me.
Right. It's like I can get the gist of what it's about just from like secondhand. You know, I don't need to watch.
Also, Carol Baskins was guilty for sure, according to the internet. Maybe one day we should watch it together. Do like a little Netflix watch party.
Oh yeah. Then we can. Then that way we can actually have an actual opinion on it.
Yeah. 6 months later, we'll be caught up, right?
Right. And then the last kind of lighthearted thing that I put down here was the whole Ellen DeGeneres controversy. and how
Yeah.
she's like the worst person to work for, apparently.
The sad thing is, it's almost not shocking. Like,
That's kind of how I thought too. I'm
I
like,
think when you really think about it, you're like, she probably is a bit of a,
yeah,
you know, she's really nice on TV and with her interviews
Right.
with her guests. But like, yeah,
I mean,
I think
'cause
like
she
the more I
has
thought
to.
about it, exactly. The more I thought about it, I was like, I'm sure behind closed doors she's a jerk.
I mean, it's sad because no matter how much you delude yourself into thinking, okay, when I'm famous, I will not be mean, I'll be, whatever.
Mhm.
But as soon as you start making money and as soon as you start getting some notoriety, like that all just goes out the window,
Yeah, very
And
much
you're,
so.
and you're like, oh, I deserve free food at restaurants and stuff. I'm like, okay, get over
I deserve
yourself.
the world.
Right.
I deserve everything.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, excuse me. I just feel so blue. I mentioned this to you when we started. I just feel like I'm in a Twilight sequel or something. It's so blue in here. It's raining out right now. I need a little bit of light.
Illumination.
All right. No. And then
the
it was, I think she's
sorry.
bounced back now, though. I think,
Who, Ellen?
yeah, I guess people have gotten over
she's-
it or whatever.
well,
She paid the right people off.
Yeah. She, I think last thing I saw was that she was back at her studio. There's no audience, but she's back at her studio recording shows. And like the first thing she talked about was like, how sorry she was and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know if people are completely over it.
Right.
I still am kind of frustrated that during quarantine, she's sitting at her house recording a show and she's like, it's almost like being in jail. I'm like, yeah, look around and behind you. That looks like jail to you? Your multi-million-dollar mansion is jail to you? I will happily trade places with you.
I'll take that jail over this jail.
Exactly.
The jail with the alphabet in the background and things. My mom's a teacher. She's working from home. So I would take a multi-million-dollar mansion, Ellen.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, if that's what jail is, then
This feels like poverty.
yeah. The last three things I had on this list were just some of the deaths that occurred, because I know we've talked a little bit about some celebrity deaths. I know we talked about like what was his face? Was it Luke Perry that we talked about?
Yeah.
I think there were a couple of, we talked about Alex Trebek, but he's not dead.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I mean, at least
We talk about close calls, yeah.
Right, exactly,
We
yeah.
talk about health issues and things, yeah.
Right. And so, I mean, the first one that comes to mind is just, Kobe and that whole tragedy, which, it's one of those things where it's like, gone too soon type of things.
Right, right. It just, I think it still doesn't feel real when you really think about it. And of all ways to die, like, Jesus.
Yeah. It's
helicopter accident.
Mhm.
And mind you, he's been flying his helicopter back and forth, like from home to practice or to games,
Right.
whatever, for 5 or 6 years before he
Mhm.
died. So for that to just randomly happen, he's retired. He's coaching his daughter's team, and he's got his daughter and some teammates and parents on the plane or the helicopter. It's just, it still doesn't really feel like that was a real thing that happened,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very much sad.
Yeah. More recently, Chadwick Boseman was another one that one it really caught me off guard, because it's, again, one of those where it's like, what? Like, you hear about it and you're like, it just takes you back, because, kind of a gone too soon situation.
Yeah, that one hurt.
Yeah.
Of course, like, Kobe was really sad too. There's certain deaths that hit everybody differently, different musicians, whatever. But
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman dying, like, I saw it on Twitter and I was like, dude, whatever. It's another one of those weird, stupid hoax things that happens every couple months.
Right.
And then I saw that, like, his official, like, page and estate put out a statement, and I was like, oh my God, you're serious.
Yeah.
So to just look back at his body of work over the last 5-6 years, and to know that all that time he was battling cancer, and nobody even knew. I mean, that's, first of all, amazing on his behalf, and then amazing on the people around him to really keep that under wraps and allow him to deal with it and process it how he saw fit, instead of,
Right.
it being leaked in tabloids, because TMZ would have been all over it. Chadwick Boseman has cancer, and he's still recording movies. So it was really nice to see him go out on at least a high note. Very well respected actor, did a lot.
Well, especially in this day and age where, video is so readily accessible. Like, he's immortalized now, like as a a Marvel superhero, and just as an inspiration to many people. So I think that's really amazing that somebody like him can, it's. I mean, yes, he's gone, but you always have the option of turning on Black Panther and seeing him, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and like that's one of probably my favorite movies. As cliche as it probably sounds, like I went to see that. Like we talk about comic books and movies all the time, so that's one of my favorite genres anyway. But I went to see Black Panther probably 3 or 4 times in theaters. I've watched it at home or at people's houses probably 2 or 3 times. They played it up at Lindenwood once. I sat there and watched it. At that point, that was probably my 7th time seeing it. Like, and every time I watch it, like I've never seen it before, and I almost probably know every word to it. So like, they played it a couple days later without commercials. They just played it straight through on TNT, and it's like, I still remember like when this came out, and this was such a big thing. It was so exciting. Yeah. So I think it just felt like one of our real life heroes. I think it was for a lot of people, first like fully black led superhero movie. So for a lot of people, that was a big deal. And Chadwick Boseman was like Mr. Black History when it came to film. I mean, he was Jackie Robinson, Thurgood Marshall, James Brown. Like, it was just that was a lot. I think for a lot of people, a very inspirational man.
Yep. Then the last one I have on here, again recently, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which, I mean, that one, it's sad, but it's also like we've been waiting for that for the past 5 years. You know what I mean? Like,
it's so bad. I was gonna not laugh, but like, you said what I was thinking. Like, she's an older lady, so you kind of knew.
Been waiting for it. But I think for her, it's amazing that the fact that she has become an icon while she was in her 80s and 90s. You know what I mean? Like, ask somebody from like 20 years ago, and they would be like, "Who?" Like you. But now it's just so weird that she, again, she's become an icon like in her later life, and that's just that's just so bizarre.
It was weird, for her to be that old, and everybody was like, "Oh my god." Like, she didn't just like how at what point did she just overnight gain this popularity? But
it's
I'm also not a super in tune person with politics, so maybe it just went over my head and I just didn't know. But it felt like I never really heard a lot about her until like she hit the point of failing health, getting really old. Like I never heard anything before that.
Right. I think it's more that just people weren't aware, and then once people started realizing like, oh, she's like for her whole career, she's been very consistent, across. I think that's kind of when it started becoming, and people calling her RGB and giving her a nickname and that kind of stuff. So oh yeah. But I'm glad that we were able to catch up on these topics that definitely were newsworthy. And
this is the last 10 months in 15 minutes.
Right.
So. No, we missed out on a lot of good stuff, but hopefully not too many more breaks, and we'll be on top of the ball with all the latest and greatest.
Oh, yeah. So you are, and me as well, are big fans of Batman.
Very much
and
so.
We enjoy, comic books and, Marvel movies, DC movies, like, well, maybe some of the DC movies. Not all. But something that's extra exciting for me, I feel like. So David S. Goyer, who, if you don't know, was the writer for the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Mm-hmm. He wrote all 3 of them. He's working on an audio drama for Spotify involving Batman. And it's going to premiere on Spotify and be just audio only.
When is it? Do we have a date on it yet?
It's set to premiere in 2021. So that could literally be like 3 months from now or 16 months. Yeah, it's who knows. Exactly.
That should be good, though. That should be really good. A couple weeks ago, actually, I started watching The Dark Knight Rises. I ended up falling asleep. But not because of the movie, but I just eaten a lot of food and, little food coma. But like I had forgotten how good those Dark Knight movies were. Because I just hadn't seen them in so long.
Yeah.
So first of all, anytime Batman's getting some love, I'm a big fan. Batman's great. But I definitely look forward to seeing how this turns out, especially with it being an audio-only thing. It's a nice little breakup from constant comic book things or animated features or live-action movies. So it'll be nice to see it in a different medium, you know?
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's exciting for me. Is I've always been a huge fan of like radio dramas or just, you know, audio dramas, even podcasts. But even like podcasts, sometimes I'm just like, okay, like, you know,
like this one.
Yeah, I hate listening to us. But you know, not all podcasts are made equal, and you know, some are just like a chit chat show like this. Some are, you know, actually, you know, like, you know, radio drama, audio drama type stuff. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be super exciting because, like, if I could just focus on audio, like as a professional, that's all I would do. Like, because you know, video is fun and all, but like audio for me, like that's fun.
No, yeah, you've always been a big audio guy.
Exactly. Yeah. So this, I think, is going to be super exciting. They do have a little bit of a blurb of what it's going to be about. They do say that some of the specific details are being kept under wraps, but it's going to explore darker aspects of Bruce Wayne's psychology, which not to say that that's not interesting, but I feel like that's already kind of been explored, especially like with the Dark Knight movie. You know what I mean? Like, Batman's not a superhero anymore. He's like this troubled mentally, you know, like.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, only because realistically, first and foremost, that is exactly what he is, though. Like, this is a very sad and angry little boy that's grown into a grown man with quite a fortune and trying to figure out a way to make the world a better place. But there's a lot of deep-seated issues that I think movies tend to breeze over because we have, like, I mean, like, the same effect with, like, Spider-Man, you know? Man dies, you know, so a lot of movies will kind of skip over it in a way or don't really address it because we kind of already know that part. And I think people do that a lot with Bruce Wayne and his psychology and his just whole thought process because they think that everybody knows by now. Martha got shot. Martha. And so did his dad, Thomas. So, you know, he's a little whatever. He's an orphan. He grew up. Now he beats people up for a living. But I think it will be kind of interesting, depending on what angle they take on it, to really get into more of him personally and his thoughts rather than just how he's constantly focused on cleaning up Gotham instead of just maybe relocating and finding a better place to live. It could actually be very interesting, especially with when writing it. So I'll definitely check out.
Something like you mentioned that I'm just kind of realizing, you know, you're like, you don't have to worry about, you know, like the CG and all that kind of stuff. Like, no, it's strictly like living in your mind, like how you're picturing it. So I think it could be even more immersive because now you're not focusing like, oh, that looks fake or like, oh, that looks dumb or, you know, it's all exactly. It's all in your brain. And other things, no casting has been announced. So we don't know who's going to be involved. I'm curious to see if they're going to try to like, because you know how like Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill have like they've consistently been Batman and the Joker like for years in the animated form. So I wonder if they're going to try to do something like that where they're keeping it consistent with either actors who've played Batman before, you know, or even like Robert Pattinson. I don't know if he's going to be, you know, the voice of Batman, you know. So
that would be crazy. It's going to be a great year for Batman. I'm looking so forward to that movie. I'm sold already. If you could pre-order a ticket, I'd buy it today. I'd be ready for it. I'll also definitely be looking out for the audio drama.
Yeah.
Like you said, with it just being everything like you creating your own mental pictures.
Right.
I think that's the problem with a lot of movies. You'll be watching a movie and go, oh, especially like us, you know, the things we did in school. You look at a movie and go, oh, I would have done it this way. Or, oh, they should have taken a shot from this, you know, whatever. So you're coming up with it in your mind. I think that's going to make it a really fun experience. All right. So, Chris, something else that I thought was a little interesting. BuzzFeed has a list basically trying to make us all feel old. Some of them not necessarily old people things, but when you think about it in like relation to the time, you're like, okay, maybe it is. So the Gen Z old list. Some of the things that are on that list, you might ask. Owned an iPad. Or I guess an iPod. I don't feel like that's very strange.
No, that was pretty common.
I don't feel like iPods really phased out until we were like almost done with high school. Like the last 2 years or so, iPods were kind of falling off because there was the touch and then iPhones, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Owned VHS and tapes. Now that one I'll take.
Mm-hmm.
I got Land Before Time on tape, Rugrats on tape, or, VHS.
Mm-hmm.
You probably can't even find anybody that knows what those are. If you handed them to your typical like teenager or anybody younger, they'd be like, what is this? How do you...
Weird side note about VHS that I promise it'll be quick. But I watched a video that talking about like the Disney VHS, like back in the day when they would put out, because that was like something they did not do. They were like, we're not going to put it out on VHS. And then I think somebody up, in the higher end was like, no, there's a lot of money to be made. So what they started doing is they would release like one of their classics, like Snow White and Pinocchio, all that jazz, but like one at a time in limited amounts, so that the demand for them was like over the top. And like, I guess that wasn't something I realized, I guess because we were too little, but like people were clamoring for like Cinderella and Snow White and all these to be released on VHS, and Disney of course is trying to play the part of like, oh, well, we only have limited stock and whatever, but it's just to get enough people interested so that they can sell more. And I'm like, that is just bizarre. Like that was a thing that happened.
Yeah. It's just dumb. Just release the stupid VHS.
Right.
Like, we have to make it a sought after item, so we're gonna make it limited, and then welcome to Disney. Exactly. Some of the other things on that list. So like I said, I'll take that one. Had MySpace.
I never had a MySpace, so that can't make me feel old.
Can't make me feel old. The only way you can make me feel old about it is that I know what it is. But I never owned. I didn't have one.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Had CDs in your car.
By the time I had a car, the CDs weren't really a thing anymore. I
only still had them. I used to still drive my mom's Buick Rendezvous for a while. And so it had a 6-disc changer.
Oh, wow.
Revolutionary, right? So I used to love CDs. And then when I got my Saturn, I think the CD player did still work for a while. And I like had so many like burned CDs or mixtapes or actually one of my most disappointing moments. I think I still owned my Saturn. I went to buy The Weeknd's newest album at the time was Beauty Before the Madness. And I want to say that's the name of it. I might have butchered that. But anyway, apparently Walmart does not sell explicit CDs, if you didn't know that.
I did know that.
I didn't see anything about that. Nobody made me aware of that. So I bought said CD. I went straight to my car and put it in. And one of the songs came on and I went, excuse me? Where's the... And it's weird that you like want the inappropriate language, but you're like, where is it?
Yeah.
So I went back in Walmart and I was like, excuse me. And they're like, oh yeah, well, you can't do a return right now. I'll come back. Obviously that guy doesn't know what he's doing because I got back a couple days later. You can't return CDs once you've opened them.
Are you
like, okay, well, nobody told me.
Wow.
Because I guess at that point, like, you could just burn it or whatever and, like, redistribute it and just be like, here, take it back. So it does make sense. I was pissed off because I'm like, nobody told me that this was the PG-13 Kids Bop version when I bought this, and now you won't take it back?
Right.
Well, all of our CDs, I was like, well, where's that posted? Well, oh, okay. So anyway, that pissed me off. Just had to get that out there. 8 Dunkaroos.
Yeah.
I'll take that because I know exactly what Dunkaroos are, but I never really ate them.
Really? That was like preschool for me. It was like getting Dunkaroos in my little like lunchbox.
Little lunch bag, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Spy Kids, saw Spy Kids in theaters.
I didn't see it in theaters, but when it came out at Blockbuster, we rented it, and so I do remember like that whole Spy Kids thing.
That should be on this list. Blockbuster, Hollywood Video.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally, what a time to be alive. Like, oh, we're going to Blockbuster today?
Yes,
I'm going to rent new games. I'm going to rent... Oh, my God. Kids today just don't understand. You got Netflix with 1 billion titles that nobody wants to see. And you've got options. Meanwhile, I had to look for what I wanted to see, you know?
Yep.
New Barney the Dinosaur.
Yeah. I mean,
That
my
one,
sister was more of the Barney person than I was.
Yeah. I
But,
definitely vividly remember Barney. I don't think I watched it a whole lot, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
right, yeah, I think I'm in the same camp as you.
now I think like this one, remember when YouTube didn't have ads? I vividly remember when you could just watch YouTube videos.
Yep.
So I get that one. I get that.
And it wasn't like people like being like, "Hey guys, what's up?" Like it was just like, watch this funny like moose like take a crap or something. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like people talking to the camera.
Unicorn.
Right? Yeah.
That one, like, we used to watch weird things on YouTube. Let's be honest. YouTube is really weird.
Yeah. Do you remember the Shoes song with Kelly?
No.
Ah, that was a classic. It was a song basically about this girl. I mean, it was a dude dressed as a girl, but her name was Kelly, and she wanted shoes, and she like sings a whole song about like wanting shoes. And I can't believe you haven't seen that. It's a classic.
It's one of those like maybe you remember and have no idea that you even have that memory.
Yeah, I'll send you a link.
YouTube for us was like a lot of spoofs and weird videos.
Yeah.
Like guys like Philip DeFranco. I don't know if you ever came across his content. Him, Ryan Higa or something like that. Like he used to make a lot of weird videos. And it was like remixes to dumb songs and things like that. Like that's what YouTube was when we were growing up. It wasn't a whole bunch of video game tutorials or weird. Welcome to my channel. Reviewing this product. Do you see it? Like or ASMR weird stuff.
Right.
Some of the ones that didn't make sense to me, headphones with wires. Like people still have wires. Yeah. Like I'm only using these because I don't have better headphones at the moment for this.
Right.
Left a voicemail. Literally, people still leave voicemails. I don't understand how that makes you old. We're alive when Twilight came out. To me, that's very strange. I know, like the movies came out when we were in like middle school, but the books didn't come out that far beforehand.
Yeah, I
don't feel like that's really that old.
No.
Used GIFs. Literally one of the most popular.
Every day. Yeah.
Like, mind you, I am a GIF and meme king. I get it, but like, if you scroll down the timeline on Twitter, you see GIF after GIF after GIF. Like people love GIFs. Yeah. So I don't understand how that makes you old.
Yeah.
Played outside. That one.
I mean, considering the things right now, I can't remember.
You had to be old because in the last 6 months you haven't been able to.
Exactly.
So like that one made sense, and then the only other one that really like stood out to me as being reasonable was where to go. Had a portable CD player. Now that's vintage.
That is vintage. Let me tell you what.
That used to be, you hit a bump in the road.
I was gonna say like the struggle of trying to go for a walk or run with a CD player, like you can't do it because every single
step.
Exactly, you're like gliding, and people are like, "What are you doing?" I'm out for a run.
Shut up! I want to listen to my CD.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember once I took my CD player with me to a band competition because it was probably like an hour away. The competition was, so I got a CD. I probably bought a couple CDs, but I had a CD. I threw it in my player. But we're on a school bus. So it was like we're on our way there, and every go. It's like, oh shoot, where's my music? So yeah, kids these days know nothing about that. Your iPhone or whatever doesn't skip when you're listening to music. SoundCloud just plays unless they want you to pay for it because SoundCloud sucks now. But I just thought that was an interesting list because some of those things I feel like are very much reaches, like BuzzFeed. What 10-year-old do you have writing for you that didn't do any of these things? But some of them, it was like, man, we are kind of getting up there. We're hitting 25 right now. So it's definitely interesting.
Last season, I think it was last season, we kind of talked about adding a new segment, which, let's see how well that went.
Here's a new segment. Break.
Right, yeah. But a segment called Who Asked for This? Because that's something that we would talk about almost every episode. We're like, who asked for, and whether it was, like food or movies or, whatever. So this week, I found something that I thought was it made me think, like, who asked for this? Like, why is this a thing? But do you remember the movie Borat?
Yeah.
It's from like
Yeah, I
2006.
do.
They are making a sequel to it.
Add that to your Gen Z list. It was alive
Exactly,
when
yeah.
Borat came out, right?
Yeah. It's set to debut on Amazon on October 23rd. And they made a point of doing it before the election. I guess to, I don't know why, but I guess they have their reasons.
Right.
But the full title, because of the original Borat had like a very, very long title, and it just, everyone just called it Borat. But the full title for the sequel is Borat Subsequent Movie Film. So Borat sequel, anyway. Delivery of prodigious bride to American regime for make benefit once glorious nation of Kazakhstan. Is the full title. There has been no indication as to there's no indication as to what the plot is or what it's about.
Right.
I would imagine it has something to do with Borat getting married because the title mentions a
Bribe
or bride. Oh, bribe. Sorry. Maybe he's not getting married. I don't know. But I can't read. Anyway, so there's no indication as to what the plot is about. They did talk about a little bit of how they filmed it, though. So apparently, Sacha Baron Cohen and a small crew, they filmed it as soon as production restrictions were lifted. Right. And, they made a point of saying, oh, all safety regulations were in place and, everybody was, blah, blah, blah. But considering how the original Borat is literally just like, run and gun camera style with Sacha Baron Cohen just running around to like random people.
Documentary almost.
Exactly, yeah. So I don't know how they were able to keep safety regulations if he's like getting in people's faces and, anyway, I don't know.
Also, fun fact, just so you do remember the full title of the first one.
Of the original. Mm-hmm.
Borat, Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan.
Okay, so, yeah.
I just thought this movie was so dumb. Like, I didn't watch the full thing, but I watched enough to go, why?
Yeah.
So, what made you think 14 years later, it would be a good idea? I'd do it again. Borat subsequent movie feature. Like, why do you need to do this?
Right. And it's not so much that it's the style, because like mockumentary is like, it can be funny. Like The Office is mockumentary, Arrested Development is mockumentary, and those are hilarious. But I think it's just this type of humor, like you either like it or you don't type thing. You know, like some people find it very much
stupid or hilarious.
Yeah. And you're either gonna love it, you're gonna hate it. You think it's hilarious, you don't think it's hilarious. I'm in the camp of where like I don't think this is funny. Like it's more annoying than funny to me.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I need to now that I'm a little older. Right. Maybe at the time it came out, it was just before our time. We hadn't reached a point to where that type of humor can be funny.
Right.
I'm giving them some. We'll give you something there. Let's hope so. So maybe we should revisit it. And then come October 23rd, depending on how we feel, look at the new project.
Right.
But overall, just why? What are we doing this for?
Some stories don't need to be told, in my opinion. And this is one of them.
So there's a new album came out, 21 Savage's newest album, and Morgan Freeman does narration over it.
Oh,
and
really?
One of the songs, he's like, can you really do a good thing twice or something like that? But can you really do anything twice? I think they should take Morgan Freeman's quote to heart, because he could have just left this alone after the first one. I mean, it's a give or take movie. Just leave it alone.
Like, how many times has there been a movie that's, I guess I'll say critically acclaimed, but popular? There's a movie that comes out that's popular. And the studio is like, well, it's popular, so now we have to make a sequel. And the sequel just completely destroys any shred of, credibility to anybody involved. And I'm not saying that that's what this is going to be, but there are times when a sequel ruins it. Ruins the entire thing. And
I guess, in this case, you're working based off the assumption there was credibility and everything to begin with. Can it get much worse?
It's true. It's true. Good point.
I'm interested. Count me in for Borat's subsequent movie feature. Alrighty, so in today's age, we've got grand old security features like the Ring doorbells or the Vivid Entertainment. You don't understand what I'm talking about. You obviously live on a rock, or under a rock, I should say. But you got the Ring doorbells, got the little camera, see everything on your phone. You get to sit there and be a creep. So Ring has developed into there's internal cameras, there's external cameras. Now apparently, and this is Amazon, by the way. They're going to sell a drone that flies around your home. For $250, you can have your own personal Predator missile on standby in your house as it creeps around. It's called the Ring Always Home Cam. So, first and foremost, how do you feel about a drone flying around your house? Because I don't like the sound of it.
No, I don't either. It seems unnecessary to me. What do you need it to follow around for? Just put a camera.
Just literally just pop one in the corner of your house. You're good.
That's what I'm saying. It can see everything.
What psychopath was sitting here like, you know what I need? I need to be able to see everything in the house at any given moment. I need to be able to fly around. And it's apparently like very small and light. I'm just wondering, like, how does this look? I don't know. It makes me think of, like, if you've been in certain Walmarts or Schnucks, they have the weird little robot that...
Yeah.
That creeps me out. I don't like it.
I don't either.
I do not like it. I've been in Schnucks before and turned around and that thing was coming down the aisle, and I was like, what the heck is going on? I am going to a different aisle now. So I just can't imagine sitting in my house. And sure, like, you have to be able to hear this stupid drone. Yeah. And you look up and... Like, what are you... It's Big Brother. This is literally, we're getting closer and closer to Big Brother.
I was going to say, this is just another way for Amazon to spy on me. So
people were talking about like the little stupid Alexa spies on you. Mm-hmm. They've said how many times like those little internal cameras have gotten hacked, and now you have a drone. Mm-hmm. At what point do people go, this is enough? We need to stop this. This is going a little too far. It's getting too weird. You can set up different paths for it to fly via the app on the phone, which is already a weird app because you can see like who's at your door. You can communicate to your neighbors who's in the neighborhood. So it's already very strange. If the drone detects motion in part of your home, it can fly to that spot. It's a very strange thing that's supposed to come out next year.
My question is, okay, say you had this and say you're not home. And somebody breaks in. And this little drone goes, oh, I see, motion, or I hear,
Somebody's here. Hey.
What is stopping the intruder from just going and just knocking it to the ground? Like, it's not like the drone is like calling the cops or something. Like, it's beaming it to your phone. So, I mean, I guess, you have time, but like,
I don't know if you knew this, but somebody's here. Just letting you know.
Just letting you know you got an intruder.
I don't understand. What's the point?
Yeah.
I guess you don't have to worry about durability. It's only meant to be used indoors. Mm-hmm. But why? We're still... When you go back to who asked for this, let's take it onto the home security feature side, because who asked for indoor drones? At what point did drones with cameras, like, it was cool whenever you do it for like shoots. Like, we've seen drones used for commercial purposes or recording purposes, but the more you start to use them for personal things, it gets a little weird. Because why?
Right. Well, and like I said, like, what can it do that just a normal camera in the corner can't do? Other than follow the intruder around, just like.
I really don't get it. I would strongly suggest you don't buy it and that no one buys it. Maybe you can call me paranoid. Maybe you can call me a conspiracy theorist, but the less cameras, I think the better. I think it's a setup for bad things to happen. The Russians are going to invade our home. Red Dawn, everybody, Red Dawn.
So Ramiro, the break between the last episode and this one has not dissuaded me from providing a Florida story. So this segment is alive and well for you, and I'm sure you will get a kick out of this one. It just, I do a search on the subreddit. There's a subreddit called Florida Man, and it's just people posting, stories. And this one I thought, because it was recent, sometimes they post ones that they're like a couple years old, and so they're not,
right,
as interesting. But this one is very timely. So I'll just read the headline. Florida man waving Trump flagpole charged with child abuse, accused of hitting 13-year-old girl with it. That's just really sets you up.
Ironically, I was out yesterday and there was this truck with a big old Trump flag hanging from their car. So I'm just thinking of if I had said something to them about their flag, them smacking me with the flagpole. I wonder what led up to.
Right.
Was there a prior altercation? Did the 13-year-old say something, or?
That's what. I guess that's what we'll get into. So, according to the article, it says a Clay County man. Wow, cannot speak. A Clay County man is facing a felony child abuse charge. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was that serious.
Jeez.
A felony child abuse charge after deputies say he hit a 13-year-old girl in the face with a flagpole while at a political demonstration in Orange Park on Wednesday. Norbert Logsden, 67, was waving the flag in support of President Trump. Cell phone footage provided by the child's mother appears to show Logsden shoving the flagpole into their moving car and the girl screaming after apparently being struck. Oh my gosh. Didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah, this is a little more serious than I thought it was.
It says that Crystal Ledoux's daughter was struck in the face and chest. Let's see. Ledoux said Logsden was holding a flag in support of President Trump and flicking people off at the intersection of Loch Rain and Blanding Boulevard. So she and her daughter flicked him off and shouted something to support their own political views. That's when he came over to them with the flagpole.
Shoving in the window?
Apparently. I'm
only imagining if you're sitting in the car, right? He had to shove it through the window for you to get hit in the face and the chest. This was a little more angry than I thought it was.
I was gonna say, it's not as I mean, it is still funny, but
yeah, it's a little. It doesn't surprise me at all. It doesn't surprise me at all.
It doesn't surprise me either. Yeah.
Why? First of all, and I don't know, maybe it's just because we're a little younger, right? So I don't really remember people caring about the president and making it a huge thing until Obama. And then you see people wear hats or t-shirts a little bit here and there. But it feels like with Trump, ever since 2016, it's just been super overboard, constant hats, constant t-shirts, flags. It's really weird to me.
It's ramped up. I do remember I think it was George Bush's first election, or his first time running for president, George Bush Jr., the son, and him and what's his name? He did the Inconvenient Truth movie. Al Gore. And Al Gore. Yeah. And I do remember that being particularly heated. And actually they had a scandal with vote countings. I do remember them having to recount the votes for that one. But outside of that, yeah, I think you're right. I don't remember it being as ramped up as it is now.
Election year, I get it. When Obama was getting elected, or it was closer to he probably will be the president, you saw a lot more hats, t-shirts. He won, there's hats and t-shirts for a little while. Then it was he's the president, whatever.
Right.
And he was rerunning, it was all right, hats and t-shirts back out. 2 times, maybe.
Right.
And then it was okay, whatever, he's the president. But Trump is nonstop. Gotta wear my hat, gotta have a Trump sticker on my car and in my house and in my lawn, and it's weird. And
It
these
is
people
weird.
get really passionate about him. Like, it's very strange.
It borderlines cultish.
Yeah.
And I hate using the word cultish because like people are like, oh, it's not anything like that at all. But I'm like, okay,
Right.
but it's like you're worshiping this dude. You know what I mean?
It's
Like
very
you're putting
strange.
all this, you're wearing the shirts, the hats, the flags, the yard stuff.
Yeah.
Like, like
At what point is it too much?
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. At
Yeah.
what point is
And
it
then
too much? Yeah.
you're that passionate about him and his agenda that you're beating people with flagpoles because they don't like it. First of all, you're flicking off in an intersection.
Right.
You don't have a day job. Something else to do. You're 67, you said?
Yeah,
You're
67.
a grown man. Figure something else out. Like, it's
Not
a little,
only that, but like
it's
you're
weird.
you're the one flicking other people off. But as soon as somebody flicks you off, like that sets you off. There's a subreddit. There's a subreddit called "Leopards Ate My Face," and it's basically posts that of like people who the whole metaphor is like people who they let themselves into a leopard's cage, but then get upset when the leopard eats their face. And so it's kind of like posts like that where people are like, I can't believe like this happened. I'm like, what are you talking about?
You did?
Exactly. Yeah. And
Yeah.
this is what reminds me of like, the leopards ate my face. Like you're flicking off people, but then when somebody flicks you off, exactly.
Right. It just, the Florida man never ceases to amaze with the stupidity or the creativity, because we've had a lot of interesting stories that we've talked about. Some more stupid than others, but some very much creative. So kudos to this young guy for now catching a felony child abuse charge over something that's stupid. Just do better for yourself. Like I said, grown man.
Right.
Like, come on.
67. Yeah, you're old enough to know better.
Way too old to be acting like that.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing what you bring to the table next week.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I would say that this has been a pretty successful, not only doing this remotely, because we've never done that before. I mean, the fact that we had enough to talk about, and to reunite and be able to start this up again. I mean, I would say it was pretty successful.
I would say so myself. I think it was great. I also like that you were conscious. I can't speak either, so don't feel bad. You were conscious of the fact that maybe this might be their first time hearing one of these. So you did kind of summarize like what this means.
Right.
Who asked for this? This is what this really kind of means. I always bring weird Florida man stories from this subreddit I follow, or this segment, Bomb of the Week, is kind of. So I'd like that you kind of explain that, because I didn't even consider the fact that, although we do have some viewers like my uncles that I never knew watch this, that they may have never heard this before, so I don't know what the hell that means. So I think you did a great job of introducing or reiterating what these segments stand for.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, good job, my friend. Good job. It's weird not being in the studio together, though. It's definitely different.
Well, and the delay with like doing stuff over the internet, like somebody starts talking that they don't realize the other one's talking, and so it's like a weird, where you're like, like trying to talk
like that clip. I still have that video. Yeah, it keeps going back and forth.
Right. But I mean, like I said, I think we were able to pull it off, and I'm glad that this is a possibility. You know what I mean, and that you don't have to do things in person anymore, as much as people want to. But the fact that technology exists for us to do something like this from the comfort of our own home, I think is in
the early 2000s, this pandemic would have sucked.
Oh, yeah.
You're screwed. We don't have any of these luxuries.
Right. Dial-up internet that doesn't work. No cell phone.
Don't let somebody. Hopefully, nobody calls you while you're using the internet, because you start making weird noises, and it's not going to work anymore. Yeah, I think it went really well, though. I'm very happy to be back.
Me too.
Feels good, man. Feels good.